hope you're doing all right. I hope you had a really nice Christmas, whatever you were able to get up to, and have something nice planned for the New Year celebrations. Um, I said in my looking back at 2020 video that I was going to have a look at what I painted this year. And so I thought for the painting competition, is that a competition? For the painting challenge, let's say, the 2020 painting challenge, I would get everything out and take a photo of it. So while I'm here, I might as well do a video with everything in front of me. So this is it. And I'm quite pleased. I did a count and it comes to 374 miniatures. That does count all of the miniatures on top of the mammoth howdah as individual miniatures, but doesn't count steeds otherwise. So that's pretty respectable. That's a lot more than I would have got done had lockdown not been a thing, and it's more than one a day. So that's excellent. Really good turnout for the year. I'm kind of hoping for less of a turnout next year because that will mean actually being able to meet people, play games, and do other things rather than sit at home and paint stuff. So yeah, let's hope. So some of this is Oakbound stuff. Down in this bottom corner here, there are the tyrants from the tour that we did recently. There's Dreamstone bits and pieces. There's some Fae stuff in here, and then there's also my Wood Elves and some Empire bits and pieces and some Barbarians and some Hero Quest models, and of course the Hero Quest prototype models down here, and some Halflings and some Orcs. So yeah, all in all, fairly varied mixture of things. Quite happy with how that's all looking, and now I've got to put it back on the shelves. So I thought I would have a look forwards this week. We've done sort of looking back, and now, as I said, fingers crossed that in 2021 we actually get to meet up and do shows and play games and all the fun things without risk or without significant risk. I know that at the moment things are looking pretty bleak. Things have not been handled particularly well. There was a bit of a crisis just before Christmas with postal services closing down as well, borders locking, and of course the dreaded B word is about to hit us squarely between the eyes, and that's going to make life really difficult, really awkward, and really expensive. But I want to try and be a bit positive about 2021, and hopefully it won't all be dark and gloomy and miserable. Let's try and stay upbeat. There are plans for Oakbound for 2021. So obviously one of the things that this year did in terms of locking us all down was meant that I got a lot more sculpting done than I was planning to do. My plan for the year was to focus on the Dreamstone, but in addition to that and getting the Tyrants done, I also got a load of my own woodsy elvesy things sculpted. Managed to get some other bits and pieces sculpted during the year that have now been mastered. So the plan is to run a few Kickstarters, one for the Fae Walkers, one for the characters in the Book of the Golden Goat that came out in Mythic Cycles, which again was not something that would have possibly happened had lockdown not been a thing, because it gave me a bit more time to work on that. And there are a few things in that book that I want to pull out in the next year as well. One of which is the Giant. So last year, in fact about this time last year, I contacted the publishing company that hold the rights to some Brian Froud images, and we managed to negotiate that. So there's Brian Froud image of a giant in Mythic Cycles, and the plan is to sculpt that, so to have a nice big giant based absolutely on a Brian Froud image. So that's going to be quite exciting. Hoping to get that done. Another thing is to get the Earthworm, or the Eighthworm, or however you want to say it, get her back into production. I know a lot of people have been asking me about when that's coming back, and we've had some issues with casters over it, but hopefully next year that will return. And a very friendly gentleman sent me a parcel early summer, which had a couple of wings that he'd sculpted for it in as well. So if you prefer your dragons to have wings, there will be a wing add-on set available for the Eidworm. So hopefully, again, hope that's a 2021 release thing. Moving back to the Dreamstone, I'm hoping things will have gone seriously wrong if it's not fulfilled by the end of 2021, but hopefully very, very early in 2021 we'll get that fulfilled, so that later in the year we can look at getting the Mighty Zordrak out. I know everyone's looking forward to that. And accompanying that there'll be another book, the Return of the Nightmare Stone, which will bring in a lot of other aspects for the board game and the roleplay game, as well as being a great receptacle of lore and background on the world of the Dreamstone, and some extra adventures for adding into to the existing games. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm in the middle of doing a significant website reset. So hopefully very early in the new year, the new website will be up and running. And that will be using WooCommerce. At the moment, I'm using a very simple WordPress shopping cart. And it's okay, but you'll have noticed if you've been on there, you have to manually enter your postage. And we can only set a level for each geographical region manually. We can't work out postage based on the weight and size of your order. So it means if you're ordering one thing, it can be very expensive. If you're ordering a lot of things, it can mean that we suck it up, which we do quite happily. If you're buying a lot of stuff, we're happy to absorb the postage. But it means you don't get a true view of what the postal costs are. So moving to a WooCommerce site where we'll have better control over that. Hopefully it'll also be better laid out and better populated with stock levels and things, so that we have to do less getting on top of things and checking and manually doing all of the stock levels. If we return to shows, obviously that would be great. We can start reducing, we can start sorting out stock levels for shows and getting those available. That would be great, love to do that. And also planning on doing a catalogue mail out next year to stockists to see if we can get certainly suppliers in the United States and in Europe. Obviously, with Brexit being a thing, it's going to become more expensive for us to post to Europe, and there'll be potential duties and things on it, which hopefully we'll get around, but that may make things more expensive, so it'd be better to have a retailer on the continent. And also postage to the States is so ridiculous anyway. I would love to have a United States representative. So if you have any leads on those, let me know. Even if it's like a little local game shop to you and they want to be the first stockist, because we're not a huge company, we're a little company, and quite understandably a lot of the bigger retailers don't want to deal with us particularly, but it would be nice to get into even a small retailer. In fact, better to get in with an independent retailer, because that sort of better supports our values of trying to stay little and local and do things with a personal touch. There'll also be extra things on the website about collaborating with us. So if you want to send us pictures or miniatures that you've sculpted, or things that you've written, scenarios that you've written, background that you've written, we want to receive all of that. We want this to be a very much a community-minded, community-driven thing. So welcome all of those submissions, and there'll be a collaborate page for that, alongside the commissions page if you want us to do any sculpting or casting on your behalf. I'm kind of hoping to use next year to try and put aside some funds to get us a spin caster. Now we've got a decent workshop outside, so that we can be in control of spinning our own stock levels. That's a kind of personal goal for next year, so then we can take on kind of contract casting for other people as well. But it also means that we're not tied up waiting for casters who are very, very busy people. We can get molds made and sent to us, and then we can cast them ourselves from that. The other thing that I really want to do with next year is a bit of an aside project, but I have started thinking about it, and we've got a few people together on a team to have a think about it. And this is a book that was started in a couple of forms a few years back, completely separate from the woods, completely separate from Factious Waste, completely separate from Dreamstone. But it's just something that I would like to do, and this is a sort of fantasy medieval city, completely populated with all of the shop holders listed and their supply chains listed, all of their price lists listed, all of the pubs listed, all of the people you can meet in the various pubs, a full kind of political civic system, a crime and punishment system, regional maps, background history, and all kinds of things, so that it can act as a comprehensive base city for fantasy adventures of all sorts. So that's something that I would very much like to dedicate a lot of the next year to working on. I'm obviously hoping to get a few personal projects done in the meantime as well, and to carry on with this video, which has been really good, really helpful for helping me to put some thoughts into focus, but also just to feel like I've got a way of communicating with people. So if we do shows next year, if they start up again, hopefully you'll feel happy that you know who I am and that you'll be able to come over and have a chat with me, because when you're fairly introverted person, it can be quite difficult to strike up a conversation. And I'm particularly introverted and unsure, but do come and say hi, because I like to talk to people about things that we're passionate about. I'd also like to get on the go with a few things that people have asked for over this last year, such as some videos of the woods in action. I very much want to get some playthroughs out there, which involves getting other gamers into confined spaces with cameras to do it. But fingers crossed again that things ease up over this next year, and that we'll be able to do that. And if you'd like to be involved, or if you've got a couple of people who can get together in safety, I don't necessarily have to be there. You can play a game, film it, and I will commentate, or you can ask me questions and I'll respond. So yeah, let's find a way of joining up a bit more over the coming year, even if we've got to still stay at home for a bit longer yet. And if you fancy sitting down for a beverage and a baked good, I'm happy to keep those interviews going. I hope you enjoyed the last one last week with Christian Schwager. We've got a follow-up to do with Chris at some point on fantasy gaming. We touched on sci-fi games of the 90s. I'd like to do a follow-up with fantasy games of the 90s. But if you've got an idea for a conversation, or you just want to sit and have a chat and ask me some questions, very happy to do that. Get in touch, let me know. And anything else that you want to see me video or blog about or put on the website, or please leave a comment, please get in touch. It's always great to hear from you. So I hope you enjoy your New Year's Eve festivities, and I will see you in 2021. Have a good one.